We are John and Ellie, the Barefoot Doctors. Join us on this new chapter on our brand new Leopard 45 Catamaran as we unearth the jewels of the Med. And the world. Because life is better barefoot.
Hey guys, in the last episode we showed you the wonderful time we had in Ischia. We sailed away and you'll see all that in this episode. However, ironically, as we released that episode, there was really heavy rains in Ischia and a disaster ensued.
So if you saw our video from last week, you'll see how much of Ischia is actually made of this very soft clay mud. So any major downpour of rain is going to have an effect on the landscape. So there was lots of mudslides, there was lives lost, there was property lost, and it really is just a disaster. So right now we want to put out a heartfelt condolences to everyone, all our friends, all the families in Ischia that have lost anything from property to human life. You know, these are tragedies that happen, you know, out of anyone's control, and it really does bring home the whole philosophy that you should live every day as though you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, because really there are no absolutes. We just want to say, get out there, don't put things off that bring you joy. Get out there and enjoy yourself and live a full life, because you really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
And the other thing is, let the people that you love know that you love them. Share your love every day. Don't hang back, because you never know when you're going to see them again or if something's going to happen.
So if you possibly can, pick up the phone, call someone that you love, or if they're right next to you, give them a big hug and say how much you love them, because it's important.
So on with the video, guys.
We are here sailing down the west coast of Italy and are in the Bay of Naples, having just had a wonderful time on Ischia. Now we are crossing the Bay of Naples to Sorrento, the plan of seeing Pompeii and then Capri and then on down the Amalfi coast.
Okay guys, so we are sailing from Ischia, just behind us, to Sorrento, 20 miles away, but we've got one of these days which seems to be quite common in the Med. Light winds at 6 knots, it's 7.5 knots now, wow, exciting stuff. 6 or 7 knots, but it's sloppy. There's lots of motorboats passing by, so again we've got swell which is flogging the sail. So I'm going to show you what subscribers suggested I do, which I hadn't thought about doing because we normally do it when we're sailing downwind, but it's to put a preventer on the boom to stop it flogging, and I'll show you what we've done. So we're getting swell coming towards us here from all these motorboats that have been driving from Naples to Ischia. And we have this swell which is completely against. Here's a fairly big one just coming, and it's all very confused because these waves are coming from a boat heading that direction. There's other waves coming in this direction from boats heading that way. So you can see what happens as the waves hit us. The boat kind of rocks, flogs the wind out of the sail there. And now that is a lot better than what it was before, because before the boom was coming way up, and that's a reduction of that has occurred because of this black line that I've put on the boom, and I've tied it forward to a cleat on the side of the boat. It's a nice strong point. I've tied that with a bowline, so it's a slip knot onto the rope itself, so it's the tighter it pulls, the tighter it hangs on. There's a little bit of slack in the rope now, so I could probably tighten that up.
So here you see me sweating the rope and then pulling it in over the cleat, which has only one loop. I'm looking upwards to see when the boom is slack and I can pull the rope through without any tension. When I'm happy with the tension on the preventer, I lock it off and Bob's your uncle. Okay guys, so here I want to ask you all a question. We're sailing along here at about 3.5 to 3.7 knots. We have about 23, 24 miles to go. Would you turn the engines on? Do you think we should keep sailing like this, or do you think we should use the diesel? Put your comments below to tell us what you would do and what you think I should have done.
Okay, so you guys want to know what the terrible sound is while we're sailing? This is it. So that's what sound we're having to deal with when we sail. We've done lubing, we've tried to adjust it, the boom, and I mean, it's a little better, but it's still pretty hideous. This is it. You can see where it's rubbing. And when you're on a crossing and you're doing like, an overnight crossing and that's all you can hear, it's pretty grating on the nerves. So we've got to get that fixed somehow. You can hear it from the helm as well. Even out here you can hear it. Oh my God, look at them all at the back. Yep. Jeez, it heaps. Good going. So folks, we have almost arrived at Sorrento. So this is what you see when you arrive by sea. Stunning scenery, massive cliffs, buildings perched on the edges, caves and walkways carved into the rocks, all from those Roman times. Right, so what's going on here?
Well, we've just anchored at Sorrento, and I want to check the anchor because we're leaving the boat tomorrow for the day, so I need to make sure the anchor's safe. And also this is very rocky. There isn't strong winds, but there's lots of swell and it's very disturbed water. So I really want to make sure that it's dug in well.
Okay.
So it's quite deep. It's 15 to 17 meters where we dropped. So I've got my weight belt to help getting down, and doesn't help coming back up though.
Okay, so what happened?
I didn't actually see the anchor because it was too deep and murky water, and there's too many boats driving around.
It's crazy.
Really fast without really paying attention. So we felt very unsafe. Probably the most dangerous thing we've done on the sailing trip, I'd say.
It was pretty risky.
Because it's one of those things you have no control over with other people not paying attention.
So safety, we had Nell on the bow waving one of these in the air, and me in the water waving one of these in the air as John went diving down on the anchor, because there was just boats just going crazy. It's such a busy area here. So, we were pretty vulnerable out there. The risk was we had a lot of chain out, so we had to swim at least 50 metres out in front of the boat. Those crazy motorboat drivers that were just planing through the water at great speeds would not have even seen us until it was too late, if we hadn't have had our noodles. It really was like playing Russian roulette with those boats.
But anyway, it's nice, good holding, heavy sand, a little bit of grass, but it's not deep, it's not thick. So the anchor will be fine.
Yeah.
I might dive it again tomorrow morning when it's calm and there's no boats.
Yeah.
But for now, I need a glass of wine.
It's well deserved, actually. I couldn't even see him. I couldn't see where he went.
So this is my jellyfish thing that was now the best part of 3 weeks ago, and it's become crusted and it's flaked and it's thickened. So it's caused quite a toxic reaction in the skin, and it's still angry and red. So It was sort of sensitive for a good 2 weeks. It's not sensitive anymore, but it still feels a bit strange. It's now developing scar tissue, so you really don't want to have one of these things on your face.
The only time
Yeah, that's right.
you actually go in swimming without
Without a sun
on.
shirt, because I was between the holes, scraping the algae off, and I was in the shade, so I didn't wear a sun shirt.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hi guys, welcome to another segment of
What's Up, Doc? So today we're going to talk about jellyfish stings and what to do about them. This is a real risk for sailors, and as you can see, I had a jellyfish sting, and a few weeks before that, David had a jellyfish sting too. Okay.
That's really hard to say really fast, isn't it? Jellyfish sting. Give it a go at home. Jellyfish sting.
What you've just seen is the redness of this wound 3 weeks after the injury. So you can see how long the toxin lasts and how much damage to the skin it actually causes.
Yeah.
And this is because jellyfish release a toxin into the skin, which is usually a neurotoxin, but it kills the tissues. If you can imagine, the way the jellyfish work is they are very soft-bodied creatures. So for them to catch a fish and eat a fish, their tentacles go out, touch the fish, and inject it with a venom which completely paralyzes the fish, so the fish doesn't struggle. If the fish struggled, it'd rip the tentacles apart. So it's an essential for jellyfish survival that the venom that they have completely paralyzes the fish and they just stop moving altogether. Then they reel them in, get them up to their mouth areas and digest the fish.
So let's talk about what those tentacles look like. They can be anything from long to quite short. They have barbs on the end, which you probably can't see. And those barbs are so they go into the fish or into the prey, and then they inject the toxin straight away.
So these are called nematocysts, and it is the physical action of trauma or contact that triggers the nematocyst to fire off and release more toxin. So this is important. Don't touch, don't try to pull all the tentacles off immediately. The first thing to do, use vinegar and see if it helps. Not all jellyfish stings will be helped with vinegar, and certainly the really toxic box jellyfish and irukandjis in Australia and the Pacific, that is absolutely essential to stop paralysis and death. So pour vinegar over the wound regularly, because that will inactivate and stop the barbed stingers from firing off.
Okay, tell people why it's important not to try and remove the stingers, because that's a reaction that is a very natural reaction for people to do.
So if you remove the stingers, that action of pulling the stinger off, the barbs are attached to the skin, all those barbs will then fire. Worst case scenario, let's say the jellyfish is actually like wrapped around your arm. The automatic reaction is to grab the jellyfish and try and pull it off, but that will mean all of their other nematocysts or their stingers will actually fire off. So leave it there, cover it with vinegar, and that will inactivate the barbs, and then you can pull the jellyfish off. Now the other thing is, obviously when you saw my jellyfish sting, when I had that, I mean it was only really very small area that was affected, but it felt like a knife going into my chest.
I thought he'd been attacked by a shark. That's
It
how
was like,
much.
oh!
Yeah.
It was because adult humans are big. A small area of sting isn't going to kill us, but if you're a baby or if you get like a very large area of stings, then that does present a threat to life. So inactivating these barbs is really very important. Inactivating the venom is very important. So that's what the vinegar does.
The other thing that inactivates stingers
is hot water. Might work in some cases. So a lot of the venoms that are present in seawater life. So this is stonefish and the coil snails, these little shells that fire out a toxin. Those are all inactivated by heat. So the thing with those, although it hurts a bit, you've got to get your foot or your hand or the area under hot water, because as hot as you can tolerate, because that hot water will inactivate the protein, which is the venom, and the pain will subside and become less faster. Hot water or vinegar, depending on what you're dealing with, and if one doesn't work, try the other.
Okay guys, so let's talk about the do's and don'ts of jellyfish stings.
Okay, well, we've already said don't pull the jellyfish tentacles off until you've inactivated them with vinegar. The other myth is peeing on it. A lot of people think that peeing on it works. It doesn't, so don't even bother trying. Hydrogen peroxide and alcohol people tend to think is useful. It's not. Don't use that. That delays healing. Cold water will help reduce the feeling of pain, but it won't actually help the jellyfish sting. So use heat while it's in the early stages of the injury, as in a few hours afterwards, but you can use ice, 2 or 3 days later.
So what the ice does do is help with the swelling, and it reduces a little bit of pain, but it doesn't actually do anything for the venom.
Okay, so let's go back and in pure practical terms, use vinegar and use heat in the immediate stages of the jellyfish sting. Then remove the tentacles if you can, and also rinse the area with salt water because you're in the sea, but rinse the area with lots of water, and also keep using vinegar as long as needed. If this is a life-threatening jellyfish sting and the people go into cardiac arrest or something like that, you have to do CPR. The interesting thing about jellyfish stings and envenomations, sea envenomations, is the protein degrades in about 30 minutes. So if you're doing CPR, do it for 30 minutes. Don't just give up after 5 or 10, because the person, if you keep them alive, the toxin wears off and the heart will hopefully start beating again. So keep going for at least 30 minutes, guys. So that's the immediate first aid actions. You need to control the symptoms. So painkillers, whatever you've got on board, things like paracetamol, Nurofen or ibuprofen, non-steroidals. If you need stronger painkillers than you have them on board, like codeines or tramadol, then you can use those as well, depending on the severity of the pain.
So what about something that you can put on topically?
Once you've got past the situation with the tentacles firing off, and probably the next day, you can start using things like steroid creams to reduce the inflammation as well. Steroid creams reduce the redness, reduce the inflammation, and you could also use local anesthetic creams. Very few people have them on board. They're pretty expensive normally, so you should not need that, because it shouldn't be that severe once you get past the acute stage using vinegar.
Even calamine lotion can help.
Yeah, and as you can see, my wound was 3 weeks old and was still a little bit irritated and quite red. So at that stage, if I'd used steroid creams, it would have helped reduce the redness and reduce the scarring. Mm-hmm. And the other thing you can use is aloe vera, because aloe vera soothes inflamed skin and burns. So aloe vera, if you've got an aloe vera plant, or if you've got an aloe vera cream, that'll also soothe the irritated skin, not in the first few hours of the injury, but certainly, say, a day or two later.
And if you're a yachty, it's a really good thing to have is a little aloe vera plant on board, because it's brilliant for sunburn and it's really good for stings and skin irritations.
Physical burns in the oven,
yeah,
they also happen on
so
boats.
Just even a little thing, and they're really easy to look after. They don't need much watering and they're pretty resilient, so that would be something that I definitely would recommend to have on board.
And the way you do it, you cut off the leaf, and then squeeze all the jelly out of the leaf and use it directly on your skin.
Even better if you put it in the fridge for a little while until it gets cold, and then put it on hot skin, and it does have a very good soothing effect. And I had to do this a lot. Oh no, poor thing. That helps a lot.
No. Now, the other thing that's really important about jellyfish stings is prevention. Much better to prevent them than to have to treat them. So sun shirts, stinger shirts or wetsuits will obviously protect you from stingers. So stinger shirts, and obviously long sleeve stinger shirts and long legged stinger pants or sun pants are the best, because then the only areas that you can get stung are limited areas like the hands and the face. And obviously if there are lots of jellyfish in the water, try and recognize to see if they're dangerous ones or not. There are multiple ones that are dangerous, but the big blubbers with no color are generally not toxic. But the colorful ones, the Portuguese man of war, and in Australia, the box jellyfish are not colored, but they are a specific shape. But if you're seeing lots and lots of jellyfish, either avoid them or don't swim.
And in Australia we have irukandjis, which are really teeny tiny and they're very transparent. They're really hard to see. So
yeah, they're only a centimetre across and they cause heart attacks and irukandji syndrome, which is really severe high blood pressure, fast heart rate and heart attacks, and people die you know, very fast with them. So they're really a real risk. But fortunately not common fish. Jellyfish are seasonal. They multiply at certain times, usually in the summer. So find out from the locals if there are dangerous jellyfish around, or if the jellyfish that are there, if they're dangerous or not, because the locals will usually be able to tell you.
So guys, we hope you've enjoyed another segment of What's Up Doc, and back to the video.
Where are you?
In Sorrento.
Marina Piccolo.
Quite sweet.
Okay guys, so this is full of messages, this video. Today, we actually want to tell you that we are going to be adventurizing in Dubai. So for all those people and subscribers out there in Dubai, we're going to have a meetup. So we would love for you to come to the meetup.
It's the 18th of December in the evening, so Sunday evening, 18th of December. So if you can make it, we'd love to see you. Send us a message below and we'll give you the details. All the best, guys.
Hope to see you soon.
Well, the motorboats have all gone home and we settle into a spectacular sunset and the sweet Sorrento moon. I just love visiting places that people write songs about. Thanks for watching, guys, and if you like what we do, show us the love and hit the like button, then hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss out on your regular fix. Then kick off your shoes and you can come barefoot with us.